Welcome to Delay the Decay, the podcast for unashamedly ambitious people who want to live longer, lead better, and love deeper, prioritizing what matters most. I'm your host, Dan Hardy, coach, entrepreneur, and former pastor, here to help you build a life of more intentional direction, not perfection, across 5 life domains: spiritual, relational, physical, mental, and financial. Today I'm joined by Jeff Dillon and Ty Dannenbring, first-time co-authors of Party in the Front, a fresh, practical call to fight loneliness by building community right where you live. Jeff is a pastor at Redemption Church in Loveland, Colorado, and a CSU journalism grad who loves telling stories. He and his wife Becca have 5 kids and enjoy life outdoors and getting to know their neighbors. Ty is a financial advisor focused on integrity and care. Raised in South Dakota with an MBA from Lenore-Rhine, he is an avid golfer. He and his wife Ashley also have 5 kids and love inviting neighbors over for Saturday morning pancakes.
Yeah.
Come on. So Ty, quickly, what is your favorite pancake? If I come over on Saturday morning, if I'm lucky enough to be included in that group, what can I expect?
Yeah, I think the secret sauce that I found for our kids is, and now neighbors, chocolate chips are like a must. And it used to be like I'd make like half with chocolate chips and half without, and no one ate the ones without. So like we just add chocolate chips to everything. So
is it dark or milk?
Whatever's in the fridge. So
semi-sweet. Okay. You got to go with the semi-sweet.
Yeah.
Semi-sweet, right in the middle.
Semi-sweet, more
not
sweet.
Hot, not cold, but
That's
lukewarm, right there.
That's right. That's right.
So guys, as you know, this show is very much about direction, not perfection. We're all in process. But what's one habit or discipline that you have incorporated into your daily routine that is helping you move in the right direction, in a healthy direction?
Yeah. For me, I made this decision a few years ago. I remember when I was younger and seeing, people that were a little bit older than me who had, who were married and had families and they stopped exercising. They stopped doing anything physically. And I remember thinking, I'm not going to do that. I'm different, like why are they so lazy? They need to get their act together. And then God humbled me when I got married and had kids. And I realized, boy, I don't even remember what exercise is. I need to look it up first. And being an athlete when I was younger, that was surprising to me. So a few years ago, I just decided, you know what? I'm going to commit to do something every day. And for me, it's just like, it might be going on a run or doing some push-ups at home or getting out to play basketball with some friends, whatever it might be. I'm going to move my body every single day. And I think certainly there are days where it doesn't happen. There's some grace for those things, but I've pretty consistently done that almost every day. And that just helps me a ton. And 2 years ago, I ran 500 miles for the year, which I know you just had a guest who does that in 2 weeks, but for me that was a big deal. And then this year my goal is to do 600 miles. So just starting to do a little bit every day has helped me build to now hitting some of these bigger goals.
Before we get to you, Ty, Jeff, how has that impacted just your outlook on the day and the way you show up for your family and your church?
Yeah, I think what I didn't realize is how much that physical activity helps me mentally and emotionally, and I would say even spiritually. And once you start that habit, you really do start to feel it and feel the difference when you don't get it. So I just feel sharper. I feel more present with people. Certainly my wife and my kids. I think I'm just more fun to be around when I've actually moved my body a little bit, and it helps me in all aspects of life.
Yeah. You have 5 kids. Oldest is 12?
11 and a half.
11 and a half. Okay.
Yep.
5, you've got a busy life with church, with this book tour you guys are on. What would you tell other busy people about the priority of exercise when on paper it doesn't look possible?
Yeah, I think that's where, so many times we build things up to where we do start with these unrealistic goals, and man, I got to run a marathon this year, and some people are motivated by that. For me, what I tell myself a lot of times is 10 minutes is better than zero. I
Yeah.
find myself saying that a lot. Like, even if 5 minutes is better than zero. Anything is better than zero. So
So good.
start where you can, and literally doing 50 push-ups or whatever you can before work or before a meeting or before you go to bed for the night. Like, you will feel better, and then you'll be more motivated to do it again the next day and the next day, and it just kind of starts to build. So just start where you can, and make it practical and doable.
Yeah, I love that. And I want to double down on that. There's a gentleman that I'm coaching right now that we're thinking through what his the habits and disciplines that he wants to incorporate in
Yeah.
this next year.
Yeah.
And we just passed Quitters Day, which was January 9th, where people
Right.
January 1st, like it's a national phenomenon. We all come out of the gates like too fast and with too much, and then we fail. And like he came in with like 9 different things. And I go like, man, like my job, like I really want to help you succeed in a couple of these.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Maybe the rest come later, but let's do what you can do consistently. What can you do consistently?
Right. Exactly.
Maybe there's a goal, 5-year goal of running a marathon, but like what can you do the next week and feel good about and succeed? So
Totally.
that's so good, Jeff. Thank you. Ty, what about you? What's one habit or discipline that you've incorporated?
Well, we recently moved into a new neighborhood, and it's over by the foothills where we all live here in the Loveland, Colorado area. And it's beautiful because right now there are a few streets that don't have any houses, but the roads are paved. And so I've really enjoyed going out there recently and just early in the morning, right after waking up, and going for runs and just being out there looking at the stars. And whether it's I just take a minute to pause or just be running and looking up. And I've been trying to incorporate just like singing a little bit, like while out there by myself and just having that solitude. It's just been really, really great. So, like Jeff and probably like many of the listeners, incorporating running, and especially this time of the year, but kind of taking it that next step for me, just to like, I'm craving that solitude that I think we often miss throughout the day.
That's so good. Yeah, solitude's hard to come by. How many kids do you have?
Also 5. Yep.
Also 5. Yeah, so it's like solitude. You guys are going like, wait, I need to chat GPT solitude. Like, what is that again? Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Solitude only happens at about 5 in the morning is what I've learned. And then not until 10 o'clock at night. So,
Yes.
yeah.
Ty, I forget. Are you a musician? Are you musically inclined?
Well, I love music, and because I love music so much, I've started to take guitar lessons, and so I'm about a year into that. And
Okay.
I have dreams of starting my own band, and I've talked to Jeff about that a little bit, but that
Come
will
on.
come probably 20 years from now. But hopefully, I can do a little bit now.
So not party in the front, but boy band in the front. Come on. There we go. Yeah. Maybe I was just wondering with singing out on your runs. I mean, is that, I know it's a gift to you. I'm wondering is it a gift to the neighbors that there's no neighbors right now?
That is that's up to their discretion, but we'll see.
Well, great. Well, give me party in the front in one sentence. Why does it matter?
Yeah, why does it matter? Well, I think we help individuals and families who are struggling with loneliness and community, and we do that through front yard hospitality. And why it matters is because we're living in a day and age where many are calling the loneliest generation in history. And it's so funny because like used to be where you'd have freedom more so by just having like the cord on your phone hooked to the wall. And there's more, you look back in your life, there's more freedom in that time frame than we are now with having cell phones. And so we live in this interesting time frame. And so we want to help people to overcome loneliness and build community right where they are.
Yeah, I don't think there's any teenagers that are listening to this podcast, but if there are, yeah, there really was a cord to the phone that went to the wall.
Right.
Ask your parents about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, the we're going to get in. We're going to talk a lot about relationships, loneliness, friendships, and all that. I really want to hear you guys' heart for that because it's a compelling heart. It inspires me, motivates me. But bring us back. There's entrepreneurs on this podcast that they have it in themselves to create something, to write something, to compose something, and most of the time, those dreams go by the wayside because we're focused on perfection, not direction. We don't always take that next step.
Yep.
Talk us through, like, whose idea was it? And then how did you two come together and take those next steps? I know it didn't just happen overnight. Share that story.
Yeah. So the idea is Ty. He's our idea man. He's our
many ideas.
Yep. He's our neighborhood.
Don't need to be shared, probably.
That's right.
Some of them.
Our neighborhood musician and our idea man. And Ty and I had gone to church together for a few years and gotten to know each other, and our families had developed a friendship, and he knew a little bit of my background, I think, but obviously as a pastor here at the church, we would connect on different things. And I think we had been in a meeting at church talking about small groups and community, and so it was kind of something we'd been talking about. And after the meeting, Ty shared this idea of a book called Party in the Front. I mean, you knew that from the very beginning that's what it was going to be called, and I loved the idea, like the reverse mullet, right? Like business in the back and party in the front, but the whole idea of front yard hospitality, as Ty said, and reaching your neighbors and building relationships with the people around you. And I was like, that's a great idea for a book. And he said, yeah, I just need somebody to help me write it. And I said, well, my background is in journalism. I've always wanted to write a book. Like, I on the spot, I was just like, I'd be willing to give it a shot.
He committed right there, so he was done.
I had no idea what I was committing to, Dan. Like, I didn't know what I was getting myself into. But no, it was so good, and we just started to dream and put ideas together, kind of put together an early outline of what the book could be and what we wanted to communicate. And it was about a 3-year process from that conversation to actually publishing at the end of this last summer. And so, Ty, I don't know if you want to share any other details there.
Well, I think also, like, reading your church emails, I just knew Jeff was such a great writer. So
church emails, Ty was the only one that would read them. Sometimes my wife is like, hey, what's going on at the church? I'm like, don't you read my church emails? Email? But Ty would read my church emails.
Ty, what I know about you is that you're pretty focused, dialed in, hard charger. Did 3 years feel like an eternity to you?
Yeah, if you would have told me 3 years from the get-go, I'm like, what are we doing here? Like, I thought maybe 8 months, a year. That was like being generous, but nope, it was a good long process. But we'll talk about this too, I'm sure. But it morphed and it ebbed and flowed, and we had a lot more content because of the 3 years. So I wouldn't take it back, even though I definitely was the one that was like charging and trying to get things moving.
Mm-hmm. Would you say that you guys stepped into this journey because of for yourselves or for what you saw in other people? When I say for yourselves, I'm not talking about the fame and the glory. I'm talking about like the need to be reminded of loneliness and engaging with in friendships. Was it for yourself or was it for others or both? Talk about that.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question, Dan. I think that is where, for me anyways, this process and even the book itself kind of morphed as we got into it over those 3 years. Because I think to start, it was like, I love the idea. Obviously, as a pastor, we're always encouraging our people to know your neighbors and serve your neighbors and build relationships with people around you. And we talk about those things a lot. So the idea certainly resonated with me from that standpoint and was just excited to jump in and kind of go on this journey with Ty. I think as I started to write more, as we started to put the book together, I really did start to realize that this is also for me. And I think, Ty can kind of share his perspective. I consider myself an extroverted introvert. I don't even know if that's a thing, but that's what I consider myself. I love being around people. Obviously in ministry, you're around people a lot, but it exhausts me. And especially at the end of the day when I come home to my very quiet house of 5 children and a puppy. We now have a puppy too, so that's great. I'm done. Like I am very tempted to just want to pull into the garage and close it behind me and not talk to anyone around me. And so I really realized that I needed the message of this book myself, and needed to grow and understand how you get past some of those barriers, both the cultural external barriers that exist to community, but also the internal barriers, the things that prevent me and my own heart and life from building relationships with people around me. So I think it really kind of became both for me of helping people, but also became a message that really resonated in my own life.
Ty, anything to add to that?
Well, I think if I would have written this book or written a book 20 years ago, it probably would have been a different motivation. I probably would have been striving for something. And by God's grace, some of the things that had happened over the last 20 years, it drew me to a point of like realizing what has been already done, namely through Jesus and the church and how they've provided for me in a time of need, and really slowed me down. And so then being motivated from that point, I think really was my motivation for seeing the project through. And it's fun just to have an idea and to see it to fruition too. So to actually have something that you can be proud of was really fun. That was also a motivation for me too.
Yeah. What would be if you could describe, like in one sentence, what you would like people to get out of the book, what would it be? What's your driving motivation for people?
One of the lines in the book that we've shared a lot is it's real simple. It's 2 sentences technically, or you could put a semicolon in there or something, but that community is possible and community is powerful. And I would say that, with just relationships in general, relationships are possible. And, I know for us as middle-aged men with big families and demanding jobs and ministry, and it can sometimes feel like genuine relationships are impossible. But we believe that that's a lie, that actually God has made us for relationship and for community, and that it's a lot more possible than we think. And actually it can be a lot of fun. And I think that's the beauty of Party in the Front. I know I'm going way past one sentence here, but
No,
but I'm a pastor. This is how I roll. That we want to let people know, like, this can be really fun. You can do things that you enjoy. You can do simple things that can build community and build relationships with people around you. You don't have to make it this huge deal, this huge event. You can. We have some of those ideas, but it can be very simple. It can be a cup of coffee on your front porch. It can be just being outside to play with your kids. It can be pancake breakfast. Those types of things can be game changers, not just for the people around you, but for you and the relationships that you benefit from. So I think that's the biggest thing I'd want people to take away is you can do this. People need it around you. You need it. And it actually can be a ton of fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know the Party in the Front. It's the illustration is in front of your house instead of the garage door going down and going to the backyard where there's 6-foot fences. Stay out front. But it's more than that, isn't it? It's more than that. It might start there, it might end there, but it's about relationships. It's about being known and knowing other people.
Yeah.
What's preventing people, all of us, from living in community with others, being known and truly knowing other people?
There are so many factors that have changed in our lifetimes, obviously, and especially in history. But now we're at this time where we have things at our fingertips, and there is a cost to that. And just to name a few, you don't have to go to the grocery store anymore. Obviously, you'd be seeing people, interacting with people, probably seeing some friends, but depending on where you live, you can just have those ordered and sent to your doorstep. You can work from home. Lots of jobs are offering that, and certainly that could be a benefit to many families. But there's a cost to that. You can watch church online, and if you're sick, great. That's awesome that you can still kind of be a part of that. But there's a cost to that, and that's just to name a few of the changes culturally. But you really have to go against the tide to be known and to know other people, and that's just where we are.
Yeah, just to be, I so love that, Ty. It's helpful because I'm sure that like those are clicking in people's heads. Grocery delivery. Not that any of these are bad on their own, but when we have things delivered, when we don't get out of the house, it's we create isolation, and I want to talk a little bit about like discipline and building that habit. As you guys both know, I was a pastor for 17 years in a church in northern Colorado, and I was paid to be there every Sunday, and I wanted to be there every Sunday. But really, after I stopped preaching, my rhythms of being a part of the Sunday morning gathering went down. They were reduced, where we were going to church maybe once or twice a month, went to once a month. And when I thought about it, going to church is it's actually a discipline. If people are honest about it, they don't always feel like going. Jeff, you don't always feel like running. Right. I don't always feel like going to the CrossFit gym. I don't always feel like reading my Bible in the morning. But I know it's good for me, and I know it's good for other people. And when I go once and then twice and then three times, when I start building that muscle again of being a part of community, it starts becoming a habit or a discipline. Does that resonate with you guys at all? Have you seen that once you jump into having that Saturday morning pancake breakfast? I'm sure you don't always feel like that, Ty.
Right.
Like we want to sleep in.
Yeah. Well, I am an extroverted extrovert. So like
so you do feel like
I do love that stuff, but but if I'm honest with the viewers, like there's definitely been times in my life where, that's just not been the case. And so, but to your point of exercising that muscle, it's so rewarding when, so we've been in our new home literally 2 weeks, and so this is kind of a cool case study for us as a family. And I hate to say it that way, but it really is. It's like we want to practice what we're preaching, especially in the book. But now, like, I'm not just like waving at the person across the street. Like I know their name. I've been intentional to know their names, and like, hey Taylor, like, and that is rewarding when like there's something reciprocated there, and like, or they wave at you, not just in a howdy type way, but like there's like vigor, and like they're excited to see me get home, or like they know who I am. And so like to practice that muscle of being known has been really cool. And that's, that's the discipline, that the joy that comes with that sort of discipline.
So you're an extroverted extrovert. I'm going to play angelic advocate. It might be easy for you. What about the person that maybe is an introvert, has, some fear of people? What's that? Why should they take that risk and get to know their neighbor when it's just so much easier to drive home, shut the garage door, and walk into the solitude of 5 kids and a wife?
Right. I mean, I just wake up in the morning and I say, I want to be more like Ty, like that really helps me just push through,
That's it.
Just kidding. No. So I'll take this because it is, I mean, I appreciate that, Ty. Like I think for everyone, there's struggles and times where you don't want to do it. Even, marathon runners, there's days they wake up and don't feel like running, I think I'm not one. I would assume. But for me, for sure, like I would say more times than not, I would say the vast majority of times, I come especially again after a long day, or even if I've been home with the kids all day, it's just exhausting, and I see that neighbor out front, or walking by with their dog. My first reaction more often than not is like, close the door, like go, maybe they didn't see me, like I don't really want to have a conversation right now. So it does take discipline. And I love what you shared, Dan. I think one of the things that I've really learned is creating disciplines in my life, and rhythms in my life, and for our family, rhythms in our lives that help us get past that. Just with anything, to not have a plan or a structure, you're going to slide to the easy thing. I've heard people say like no one like accidentally falls off their couch and starts doing crunches. Like you have to plan it. And that's true for me when it comes to meeting neighbors and connecting with people around me. And so, for example, this summer, we just decided to do Fridays in the front. And so every Friday afternoon, evening, we just committed, my wife and I and our kids, to do something out front. One time we got donuts and passed them out. One time we did a s'mores night. Sometimes we would just go out and again, let the kids ride their bikes and just be out in front, but we committed ahead of time. And it was funny because there were a couple of Fridays where, for whatever reason, we weren't able to do it. And my kids, for sure, held us accountable to that. Like, "God, we didn't do our Friday in the front." But I even found myself missing it. And like, man, I'm looking forward to next Friday. They became fun. We had neighbors come over that I didn't even expect or hadn't got to know yet. So it really did help so much to create those habits and rhythms. And then, like any discipline, as you start to do it, like you were saying, Dan, I think the desire starts to build more naturally. And it's like you crave it. You want to do it. And so that's something that we've learned and grown in for sure.
Yeah. At some point, I want to talk about just ideas that you both have. You've already shared two great ideas that you do: the Saturday morning breakfast, and then the Friday
Yep.
out in front. And I think that's just so helpful because a lot of times people might go like, "I want that in my life, but I actually don't know where to start." I don't know where to start. And so maybe we'll talk about it as we go along. Talk about loneliness. You guys talk about loneliness in your book and how it's an epidemic. And I know you say that like this next generation is a lonely generation, but in a sense, every human being in the culture we live in today, there's a sense of loneliness. So talk about the epidemic of loneliness, how we arrived here, and how might I diagnose it? If I think I'm okay, how might I diagnose my loneliness and be motivated to take the next step towards not being lonely, whatever that is? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, gosh, it was really kind of amazing as we're in the process of writing this book. In 2023, the U.S. Surgeon General released this report, which became very well known, declaring an epidemic of loneliness in our culture. And Ty and I were just like, they must be reading our notes, they know our book is coming, because that's very much at the heart of the book. And it was really amazing to see our government, coming to these realizations of how significant of a problem this was. They found that basically 50% of adults in the U.S. reported experiencing loneliness on a regular basis. Some of the numbers, especially among younger Americans, just some shocking numbers about, almost 60% of Americans say that they have never had a meaningful connection with one of their neighbors. So just some eye-opening statistics that really have declined, so much over the last 20, 30, 50 years in our culture. And so I think there's no denying that loneliness exists. I love your question as far as how do you self-diagnose that? And I think I really like that term, meaningful connections. And I think it's, we've unpacked that a little bit. What is a meaningful connection? And I would just say, are there people who know you, and are there people that you truly know? Do people know your joys and your sorrows? your struggles and your strengths? And do you have people that you know those things about as well? And as we were writing Party in the Front, we really started to realize that this idea of bringing the party to the front was a very tangible, practical way of thinking of front yard hospitality, but also a way of thinking about bringing our authentic selves to the people around us. Do we have people? Because there's this barrier, this thing about we don't want to let people into our homes. We're a little bit nervous about that. We don't want them to see our mess. And I think that's a great metaphor for how we feel relationally with people. Like, I don't want to let people in too far, and that is part of the power, honestly, of doing a party in the front. It feels a little bit less threatening in that way. But I think we really realize, I think all of us do wrestle with some level of loneliness because there is this fear of rejection. We've experienced hurt. We're not sure we want to let people see who we really are. And so I think if that resonates with you out there, you probably are experiencing some level of loneliness or lack of relationships, maybe without even realizing it.
Gosh, so good. So good. Ty, anything to add to that? It's pretty complete.
Yeah, that's why I partner with Jeff, because he's got some great answers. I would also add, though, that you might want to just track some of that stuff. Like track conversations, or the Apple Watch and iPhones. They track everything nowadays if you want it to. But just diagnose yourself just with like how often how you're using your time. And also just kind of a litmus test too of those that are right around you where you live. Like, can you even name the people that you live around? If you don't know their names, you're probably not having that, many meaningful conversations, and therefore you really don't know maybe what their burdens are, and they don't know your burdens either. So that's just kind of a good litmus test if you know their names.
So good. Appreciate that, guys. In Kansas City, I go to Kansas City a fair amount because one of my kids lives there. And at the museum, there's a statue that is a picture of a crowd with a man in a crowd, and it has a plaque above it. I don't know all the words, but it talks about the name of the statue is "Lonely in a Crowd." Mm. Lonely in a crowd. So just being with people doesn't necessarily cure our loneliness, but it's stepping into the things that Jeff, you described. Are there in that crowd, whether it be at the church crowd or the front yard crowd or the gym crowd, are there people that know us, know our fears and our dreams and our joys? And there's a word for that. It's called vulnerability. Mm-hmm. And vulnerability is stepping into a place that is risky. Mm-hmm. That's the right, and it's risky. For me, I'm an Enneagram 8, and it's my superpower is that I protect other people, my people, but the shadow side is I protect myself. That I don't want to be known for fear of rejection or judgment, and I think a lot of people, maybe a majority of people, we live in that place, don't we?
Yeah, yep, exactly, and I that's such a good point, because. Yes, we have some practical and fun ideas for connecting with your neighbors and building community. But I would say, that community is only going to go so far. Those relationships are only going to go so far as you are willing to let people in to really know who you are. And we have on the cover of our book the Highland cow, which has become a mascot. Obviously, they've got the party in the front haircut and. Haircut. They've probably never had that. I don't know. Maybe people cut their hair. You know what I mean? Hairdo.
Yeah. We knew exactly what you were saying.
I see them at Great Clips all the time. I'm like, there's three Highlands in front of me in line. But
Jeff, I want to see your hair combed down.
I actually could do it. It gets real long. I totally could. That's a great idea, Dan. That's great branding.
You're welcome.
But, it's funny because, Ty and his family were on vacation and saw, this picture of a Highland and they've become like art pieces. You see them everywhere now. Everybody loves the Highland cow. And as we were thinking about it, like not only do they have that hairdo, but they're kind of a representation of what we're talking about. The Highland is actually a really goofy looking animal, really kind of messy. They're certainly not like all put together, and yet people love them. And so we really think that like there's something about authenticity and vulnerability, like you said, that as we step out and show people who we really are, it really resonates with people. And it's almost like permission for other people. When you're authentic, when you're vulnerable, it's like, oh, okay, I'm safe to do that with this person as well. So it is challenging. That's not easy. But I think, again, as much as we're willing to take steps of vulnerability towards others, it really does pave the path for again, meaningful connections and genuine relationship.
Mm-hmm. You know what I love about what you guys are doing? There's so much I love about what you guys are doing. And it's inspiring. And I don't know if it was meant that you wrote it for this reason, but as I'm listening and I'm evaluating my own life in light of what you're saying, that either inviting community to the house, Saturday morning, Friday afternoon, being a part of a community at church, whatever the other secondary communities are, that's the first step.
Mm-hmm.
That's not the final step. Like that's the first step towards deeper friendships and relationships. And oftentimes we get stuck in, I'm lonely, or I don't have friendships, nobody knows me, but we don't put ourselves in a position, in a place to build those relationships. Is that part of I just received that from you guys. Is that part of your mantra?
Yeah, absolutely. Like it's just a great picture for the world if we can be modeling that, with our families and then being in the community. If we can be welcoming, if people, our neighbors that maybe are lonely, can come up to you and like have a place to rest and have a place to bear their burdens. And I think if they would then see the church, like if that's like the front door to the church for that person, and then they experience and they can taste and see that not only is the Lord good, but then also how that plays out in the relationships of the church, as messy as it can be. Then wow, wouldn't that be amazing for God's kingdom to grow that way?
Mm-hmm. To talk about that some more, we've kind of danced around it. You guys are both followers of Jesus. I'm a follower of Jesus. Where did connecting people to Jesus fall into this mission? Is the party in the front a mechanism for engaging with people to show them the love of Jesus? Yeah, talk to me about that, because I know there's like neither one of you guys are project guys. Like people aren't a project, yet you want people to encounter their creator in the same way that you've encountered your creator through the person of Jesus Christ. Mm-hmm. So where does that mission fit into the party in the front?
Well, I don't think that the mission ever was to design something to just get more followers of Jesus. I don't think that was our motivation necessarily. However, as a follower of Jesus, if I'm being my authentic self, that is the logical conclusion for me. If someone wants to know what I'm motivated by in the morning, someone wants to know what helps me to reconcile with those around me, like I can't live my authentic life without that stuff coming out. And so praise God if that does happen, where someone recognizes that and I have opportunities to share about my hope in Jesus. But that is not necessarily the motivation for this.
Yeah. Love that. Thank you.
Yeah, I really appreciate what Ty said there. And I think like it became very clear, like the gospel is very much at the heart of this book. And it's been fun. We've been on all kinds of different podcasts and been able to share about this book in lots of different environments. And we're always, quick to say like, that's at the heart of this is the gospel, because we do believe that the only true and lasting way to overcome loneliness and to have genuine, healthy relationships is through the power of the gospel and recognizing how God has loved us and how he has restored our relationship with him through his son, Jesus Christ. We do believe that's the power that leads us to genuine community and relationship. But I agree. I think we want to be really careful. I like how you said the word project, Dan. We want to be careful to not challenge people to just make this a project, but actually genuinely challenge them to just know their neighbors and love their neighbors and to be a good neighbor. And we believe those conversations will come and build from there. And so I think that actually is one of the reasons, and I'd love to, maybe this is book number 2 or 3. We have lots of book ideas, but explore that a little bit more of how we've talked so much about mission and evangelism in the church. And I think we've built up something as simple as loving your neighbor into purely an evangelism strategy. And it's a piece of it, of course, but I think we build it up so much that we actually sometimes discourage people in the church from doing those things because it's like, I'm not ready to talk to Joe, my neighbor, about the gospel or answer these questions of versus just love Joe, serve him, get to know him, get to know his story. And soon enough, they'll ask you those same questions. And so that's where we really want to start with this idea of practical, simple steps to begin that road of relationship.
That's really helpful. Jeff, you're a church leader. Ty, you're a leader in every environment that you're in. You guys go to different churches now. And we've been a part of the same family of churches. And oftentimes you could be at any one of these churches and you would hear the pastor up front say to now go live on mission, where you live, work, play, and learn. And that's a great tagline. And it has it means a lot of things. But I think most people walk out of there going I work, I live, I play. I don't know if I'm learning anymore, but what do I do with that? If you could have an opportunity to have pastors in the room or do a seminar on this book, how would you encourage them to help their bodies take the next step towards relationship, meaningful relationship with where they would live, work, learn, and play? Does that resonate with you guys at all, that question?
It does.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think, one of the things we talk about in the book is what's known as the bless strategy. And you've maybe heard it before, but we think it's actually a really helpful way to think of it. And it's not a formula. It's not, again, we don't want to turn people into projects at all, but I think it's a helpful way to think through it. And bless is an acronym, B standing for begin with prayer. And I think, for those out there that this resonates with on a spiritual faith level, just starting with prayer and praying for your neighbors, praying for the people that you work with, praying for people, your classmates, whatever it might be. Because one of the things that challenges you to do is actually know who they are and know their names and pay attention. And then the L of bless is listen. And just, man, I think one of the best strategies we have for loving people and sharing the gospel with the world is just to be better listeners. One of my favorite quotes that I've ever heard, and I always forget the guy's name who said it. I'm so sorry to this guy. But he says that the emotion of being listened to is so similar to the emotion of being loved that most people can't tell the difference. And so, just
so good.
Start with prayer and with listening to people. Pay attention. Maybe even take some notes down, to say, okay, Sarah said that her dad's having surgery next week. I'm just going to check back in on that. You'll be amazed at how just listening well will make people feel loved. So those are a couple practical steps I would encourage people, pastors and leaders to encourage people to start with.
Hey, don't leave me hanging on blah What's the ESS?
That's right. That's right. The blah strategy. So E stands for eat, which is another fun one. Food brings people together, and that's part of our recipe for Party in the Front is bring food. Like that's a huge tool. S, the first S is serve. Again, look for ways you can serve practically. In my neighborhood, I'm both of us are taller guys. I'm known as the light bulb changer. That's what I do, So literally when we first moved in, I met a couple of the older ladies that live close to us. And the first thing they said, I don't even think I told them my name. And they're like, "Oh, you're tall. That's going to come in handy." But yeah, just serve. Look how you can serve. And then the last one is to share your story. And that's where, again, over time, you get the opportunity to share the gospel, right? And share about who you are and what you believe and invite people to know Jesus. But we really see that as kind of one of the final steps as you develop that relationship. So begin with prayer, listen, eat, serve, and share.
I love it. And I feel like that's the pressure that a lot of us feel is that we've got to say hi to somebody, introduce ourselves, and then share the gospel. Right. And oftentimes that could happen.
Sure.
But oftentimes it's through relationship over the long haul, isn't it?
Yep.
Just to kind of answer your question too, I think what I'd like to add is to those church leaders and how to shepherd your people. I think we need to be reminded that we shouldn't just gaze inwardly and because we need to be reminded of the people that are around us, that there is value there and that they were made in the image of God, whether they know Jesus or not. They're made in the image of God. And so I think the first step toward genuine community will require us to look away from ourselves and toward God and what he has to say about us and what he has to say about those around us.
So good. So good, guys. Yeah, Jesus, our God is an incarnational God, that he came and dwelt with us, right? That's the same strategy for getting to know people is to be with them. Yeah. So super, super practical. Can we pivot and talk a little bit about a couple of specific people groups, and that's busy men and busy women? And I know we talked about this a little bit at the beginning. Men especially. Would you say that men are, generally speaking, more lonely and less known than women?
Yeah, I think I don't have a statistic to back that up right off the top of my head, but I know I've seen those statistics before, and I think that is true. And just anecdotally knowing men in my life, I think that's true. One of my favorite pastor jokes, you'll appreciate this, Dan, is that Jesus' most underrated miracle was having 12 close friends in his 30s.
That's great.
That's really good, It's like,
yeah.
And it's true, I see that in my own life and just how it's gotten harder to have genuine relationships as I've gotten older, and in this stage of life. So yeah, I think men, as we've shared about this book and been on podcasts, that's actually been what a lot of people have asked us to talk about is, talk about this from a male perspective and how hard this is for men. And I think that message really does resonate with people.
Yeah. Well, and to get practical then too with for men, Jeff has often talked about, reaching out to neighbors and saying hey, I need help with this. And it's so true. It's a good encouragement for me too, just to be like, hey, I need help with moving something. Can I borrow your truck, or can you ride along with me? Or I don't have this tool, or I don't know how to fix this. And the community that can bring and breed from just being vulnerable like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I think as a man, sometimes we just don't want to go there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I don't know. We'll have to ask God someday, but I feel like men, generally speaking, have more pride than women. I know that's the case in our context with my wife and I. Mm-hmm. How about your wives? How do you encourage them? They're with people all day long, little people. Yep. They're with people all day long. How do you encourage them to go get a night with the girls, or one-on-one, build friendships. How do you encourage them?
Yeah, I think just it's convicting because I need to do a better job of that, but trying to create that space and just saying, hey, can I come home extra hour or two early, and what would you like to do? And she might say, like, I just want to go in the car and be by myself. But if it's, hey, do you want to go out and be with someone and go catch up? That's great. Go do that. So yeah, I think just the best thing we can do is just serve and offer that time.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think for me, one of the things that I've learned again is my wife Becca really appreciates my intentionality in building relationships and community. And she's very much a hospitality person and loves having people over. And so she's really embraced this party in the front idea. You should have asked her to write the book, actually. But she loves when I'm intentional with it. And there's probably times where she doesn't, where she'd rather not have people come over or whatever. And I always ask her. I'm not just planning huge parties and then springing it on her 2 hours before. But, when I say, like, hey, I think we should, put the fire pit out front tonight and make some s'mores and invite some neighbors over. She gets excited about that. And then it makes it easy for her. I can help do a lot of the work. It's not putting things on her. And she ends up having a great time. I mean, usually I'm in putting kids to bed, and she's still out there talking to neighbors. And so, yeah, I think just how can we help our wives and make this practical for them? And I think many of them will catch the idea of it and really enjoy it, and want to continue to be a part of it. Yeah,
I love it. How has your friendship developed over the last 3 years? You guys were 3 years. As you've got closer together in proximity, how has your friendship flourished and or struggled over the last 3 years?
Well, I think just having a project to work on with someone else has just been so encouraging. So, it's been really, really enjoyable to get to know the Dillon family a lot more through this project. I mean, we were at the same church for a number of years, but even still, we were kind of in our own lanes, and it wasn't that we didn't like each other or didn't want to spend time with each other, but it was just we had other things going on. And so when it kind of forced us to get to know each other more, our relationship has blossomed that way. And I think it's really neat to look in Scripture and like just the examples that are there too, like David, and I guess it would be Nathan.
Yep.
Just like that. Like I would love to know like the inner workings of that. Jonathan, yeah. Like there are just some clear relationships in Scripture that are just encouraging to me as a man, and it's like, and especially today, it's like we need that. And so, I think friendships are such a gift from the Lord, and I'm really grateful for the relationship that Jeff and I have.
I'm so grateful for Ty and his friendship, and I think it's challenging to do any sort of project or business venture. I'm sure some of your listeners have experienced that or are in that right now. To do those things with a friend, it can be really challenging, and obviously can create conflict. Ty and I don't think we've really had conflict. I'm sure I've annoyed you at times, probably am right now, but like I just think the benefit, the blessing so far outweighs those challenges. And what I would just tell someone, there's no way I would have written this book without Ty. Obviously it was your idea, but I wouldn't have finished this book without Ty. And I think that's why you came to me in the first place, is you probably wouldn't have written this book without me. And so,
or like if I wrote it, it would be like literally
bullet points.
Well, yeah, exactly. Like it would have been on 2 pages.
An essay. But so I'd encourage people to think about that. If you're trying to accomplish something, build something, whether that's in business or personally, if you're trying to grow in marriage, or just trying to become a runner or whatever it is, to bring someone along with you, to invite somebody in on that with you, it'll make it so much better. and it'll make you far more likely to get it done. So I'm so grateful for Ty and the way God has brought us through this process together.
Yeah. That BLESS acronym seems like that's a great acronym to have in the middle of any partnership.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, it's beautiful.
Yep.
Last question that I've got, and then I'll let you guys respond in any way you want to respond to close us off. And this is an idea. You don't have to give me credit for it, but it's a question, is if you guys created a workshop, and this workshop was to help people build a party in the front plan. Like they think through it. And they're going to come out after half a day with a plan to execute. What components would that plan have? Like, what do you want to see them come out with?
Well, at the end of our book, we do have our recipe for success. So I'm just going to.
Oh, you do?
I'm going to go
okay.
there. Yeah.
I haven't got that far yet.
Already on
I was
that
on
page.
that page, Dan. So
That's preparation right there.
Great minds, Ty.
So Party in the Front's recipe for successful connections. Here you go. Number 1, humility. Number 2, food. Number 3, music. Number 4, laughter.
Okay.
Those are, we really try to incorporate that as a family, and not every party needs to have a big boom box, but I do have this JBL party box with a microphone. I love that thing, and I pretty much, Jeff's seen me literally carry that around to different things, and
it's not up here, is it?
Sometimes I carry it up just like you would in the early '90s. But man, it's music just has a way of changing things, the atmosphere, and obviously food is a great connector. We like to say, if you griddle it, they will come. Kind of our taglines, that if I were to make a mug about our book, I'd probably put that quote on there.
Griddle it.
Yep. So,
they'll come. Yeah. Love it.
Yeah. So that's the four components right there.
Love it. It's right there. Jeff, anything to add?
Yeah, I would just encourage people, to think about themselves for a second, which feels weird. Be selfish. That's a great takeaway from this podcast. But really to think about where you are and in your stage of life and your interests, and and maybe start there. Again, like, you might be amazed at the people around you who might have an interest in watching the Broncos game, on Sunday, or playing pickleball, or just good food. Food has become a real connector with some of our neighbors who love different types of foods and things like that bring people together, or with kids. Again, like, just putting out a cooler of popsicles has become a big thing in our neighborhood because the kids come over and it brings parents. So just thinking about the stage of life you're in, what are interests you have, start there. Again, don't build it up to be this huge thing that you've got to smoke a bunch of meat. Maybe that's your thing. If so, that's great. But you have to create this huge event. Just start with what you enjoy, with who God's made you to be, and bring that out for other people to interact with, and you'll be amazed at the connections.
That is golden. I think, Jeff, you know this story a little bit, but when we moved to Windsor, and I took the job of being a pastor at WCC, I knew that I needed to have a outward-facing community of some kind. So I joined Rotary. You guys know what Rotary is?
Yes.
It's a social club. But I joined there. It wasn't my people. They were nice people. They were great people, but they weren't my people. I was stepping into a place that was like, it was just hard to build community. And then we found CrossFit about 3 years later, and it just happened to be the community for Nancy and I. Like, we really resonated with those people there, and it was easy and natural to build relationships because they were like us in many ways, which is not good for other people when people are like me. Like, you usually want to run from that. But I want to double down on that, and I know it's a big part of you guys' voice, but it should be fun. It should be make it fun. If you like to grill. If you like pancakes, make pancakes. Just have fun with it.
Exactly.
This audience is that you're speaking to is unashamedly ambitious. They're creators, they're builders, they're writers. They are starting businesses, but they don't want to lose their life. And a big part of that in the 5 life domains is spiritual, relational, physical, mental, and financial. What would you say to this audience in closing as it pertains to the relational domain and really the importance of relationships? These are busy people you're speaking to.
Yeah, I love the title and the slogan, Delay the Decay. And I think I would just caution the listener that you can have aspirations of doing projects, starting things, being disciplined, but you might decay from the inside out, and that might be, in this context of our podcast today, loneliness. And so I would just encourage you to, whatever God is putting on your heart, to either do better or to start, or whatever it is, to bring someone along in that process. And so you don't become lonely and isolated, because God didn't create us to be isolated.
Yeah, good stuff. Yeah. Jeff, anything to add?
Yeah, I think just, don't do it alone. Don't do it alone. Bring other people with you. Again, there's challenges in that, but the rewards far outweigh the challenges. Bring others with you. Let people in on your joys and sorrows, your struggles, and I think you'll be amazed at the benefits of that for other people and for you. And so whatever you're pursuing, whatever you're building, whatever stage of life you're in, don't try to do it alone. Back in Genesis 2, when God creates man, he says, it is not good for man to be alone. And we believe we were made for relationships. We were made for community. So don't run from it, embrace it, and you'll be blessed.
Party in the front, ladies and gentlemen. Jeff Dillon and Ty Dannenbring, thank you so much. I know that my listeners are going to be encouraged and inspired to not live life alone, that it's not good for us, and it's not good for others when we live alone. We have a lot to offer. So how can people find you? How can they find the book? How can they follow you two individually and Party in the Front as a whole?
Instagram's the best way to follow along with us. You can find us at Party in the Front Book. And then our personal accounts are linked to that as well. So you can find us on Instagram. That's probably the best way. We love hearing from people, hearing from ideas, seeing what people are doing around the country and world with Parties in the Front. And then you can find the book on Amazon. We're on Amazon. You can order it in print and digital. Just search Party in the Front Book on Amazon and you'll find us. So we'd love to connect, and we're excited about the road ahead. We're looking at doing a children's book this year,
Nice.
version of Party in the Front and some other projects. So we'd love to have people follow along.
Sorry, this is Dan Hardy humor, but is it Party in the Front and Potty in the Pants?
That's good.
Oh my goodness.
That's good.
All right, folks, thank you for joining us. Remember, this life is about direction, not perfection. If you spend all your time taking that next perfect step, you're never going to advance. So take that next step to get out of isolation. Take that next step towards health in all 5 life domains. It's about direction, not perfection. Thank you, Ty. Thank you, Jeff. We will catch you guys on the rebound.
Thank you, Dan.
Thanks, Dan.
Thanks for listening to Delay the Decay. If today's conversation resonated with you, follow, subscribe, and share it with someone else on the journey. Until next time, keep prioritizing what matters most. And remember, it's about direction, not perfection.